Dr. King, that's a tough question, and I think we've been wrestling with that for years.
Okay.
And I had it from the perspective of Egypt when I was working in the CENTCOM region. Now I have a perspective from Ethiopia now, but that's what our diplomats do, to wrestle with everyone's perspective and try to find common ground. That's called diplomacy. And I know it's been a number of years, but they're still working on it.
Okay.
They're still working on it, but you're right. Looking at, we used to do studies out of the Pentagon, which was a layered threat. What causes instability? Number of ecosystems on top of each other across the Sahel, and what causes instability? And which threat under these layers do we go after it to intervene? And that's a challenge within itself. You know, we had to study this for years, and and even use social scientists, say, yeah, this conflict has gone back generations, whether it be the herders, farmers and herders conflict. It may be deeper than that.
Yeah.
That stokes the terrorism. Because as you look back on it, let's take the Sahel. And you look at when people say, yeah, terrorism is because of this ideology. But you know what? Sometimes it could have economic opportunity. That is the ideology. It could be, of course, a lot of this emanated, and I'll just go back to that one compelling evidence, that compelling statistic that I always say. Back in 2007, when this was during the global war on terrorism, the percentage of terrorism, global percentage of terrorism that was resident on the African continent was 2%. 2%. 2% of the attacks for terrorism were on the continent of Africa. Fast forward to 2024, 2025. The global percentage of attacks under terrorism is 43% on the African continent.
From 2007, from 2% to 43%. To 43%.
Measured by the metric of attacks in the name of jihad or name of Islamic extremism.
And what do we attribute this to, considering that AFRICOM has been operating in Africa to guarantee security over that period?
There's a number of layered things the ideology. You can go ahead, you can blame it on a number of things. You can blame it on the Arab Spring. You can blame it on the downfall of Libya, emanating down from the Levant of Syria in Iraq, down through those channels of the Maghreb, down into the Sahel. Remember I said resources, revenue, refuge, and recruiting. So on top of that, and it marries up with young military-age males that don't have opportunity. Maybe their livestock, or for desertification or other reasons, they can't do, and they're not as profitable as their fathers were, and the same as fathers, so they pick up a weapon and they fight each other in the name of jihad. Just ideology like that. So where do you intervene there? You intervene by development, being able to see how you can cultivate and farm in different ways so you can get that crop yield that your fathers and grandfathers and grandmothers used to be able to enjoy for a livelihood. We don't know, but we try to set those conditions.
Which begs the question.
Yes, and it takes whole of governance. It takes that country building institutional capacity to look at that, not just into the population concentrations of the cities, but also also in the rural sectors, because that's the population too. So
Okay.
holistically, that's what our country's leaders are doing.
I love the concept of a campaign, identifying a problem,
Yes.
coming up with a formula to solve it, and the layers to the end of the result that you would hope to achieve, right?
Yes.
It's a very well laid out formula. Is there what's the success rate in percentage for the campaigns in partnership with African countries, say for AFRICOM?
Yes, that's a good question.
Thank you.
I'll say it ebbs and flows, because when I talk about threats emanate all the time, a different type,
Okay.
and we adjust on how we approach it. But you know what? Our analytical research on how to approach it, we get most of it from our African partners. They tell us. All of our initiatives are led by our African partners. We don't do anything on our own. Like I said, it's a learning campaign for not only me, but AFRICOM as well.
Okay.
African countries know their country, know their people, and know what needs to be done better than we do.
So to some extent, it is the African leaderships and the
Yes.
countries that we let ourselves down. The support is there, but we let ourselves down in terms of the support we would be required to ask for to solve some of the problems we face.
Well, I don't think it's that binary. I mean, there's just varying reasons why, and it does take resources. It does take institutional capacity and technocrats, and that's getting out of my lane. That's where I'm just really in the security sector,
yes.
but the whole of governments.
I'm also talking about the security sector.
Okay, just security, right?
Yeah, just security.
Yes.
Like, let's say there's insecurity. A certain country is dealing with insecurity.
Yes.
And
Yes.
it's a cause for concern. They would be required to ask for support.
Yes.
So AFRICOM waits for requests from the African country for security support.
Yes.
So until the African country asks for support, you cannot impose.
No.
You cannot impose.
No, we don't come here and say, we're not prescriptive. We don't say, no. If this worked in Afghanistan, I know it'll work for you. No, we don't do that. No.
So, so now, to this extent, sticking to security,
Yes.
for African countries that are struggling with insecurity, AFRICOM has the capacity to provide the necessary support to solve that situation until that African country asks for that support.
Assessment is done
Okay.
by our African partners.
Okay.
They remedy it. They do their plans, and AFRICOM, we collaborate and we ask, how can we help, and assess whether it's in our capacity to help. Yes.
So if I can break it down in a one-on-one context, let's move from the realm of countries.
Yes.
So in a one-on-one country, if I'm your friend, right, and I'm beefing with someone, and they can beat me, so I can come. The idea of like AFRICOM security support, I can come for you to train me on how to beat them. I can't ask you to beat them for me.
No.
I can't outsource a beating.
No. Yes, that is not. We can support you in your campaign planning and,
Show me
and
where to punch.
operations if policy directs us to.
No, this is not
Yeah.
country. This is one-on-one.
Oh, one-on-one.
Yes, we are bringing it in a one-on-one context.
Okay.
I want to clobber someone properly, but I don't have.
Okay, Dr. K.
I don't have the physical capacity.
Yes.
But you are my friend and you know the tactics. So ideally, you're not supposed to beat the person for me. You train me on how to beat the person. That's the whole format of operation.
Yes. Good point. So